All right, we are live. Hello, and thank you for joining the Gamer Librarian Podcast, the best podcast you can find on this side of the multiverse. Audio should be good. I mean, we have it turned up. I'm trying to move this around. Got some windows we gotta go get through. Maybe we could turn it up. See, we got a little mic here. I mean, that might be pretty good. This is episode 110 of the Gamer Librarian Podcast. Pretty insane that we're here experiencing gaming and everything in the world. I mean, we're coming back from a bachelor party and a wedding, and holidays are coming up very soon. Very busy time for us. Not a lot of game time. Not a whole lot. Not as much as we would have liked. We never really got to play Silent Hill F. We still have to do the Metal Gear Volume Collection playthrough. Really just waiting on an announcement of Metal Gear Solid 4 at some point. Well, we got a B3. And then the Game Awards. The Game Awards are on December 11th. The nominees are going to be announced soon. It's a crazy time where we are. It's a crazy time. Now, there is a series of award shows that I don't care ever talk about. And unless they are about video games, then I don't really have an interest in them. Not necessarily, I'm a big music guy. I love music. I like all kinds of music. But I'll never be something to be like, you listen to the best songs or the worst songs, or these genres or artists are the best or the worst. Like I like music for what it is all the time. Now, video game music is something that I have a big interest in. I love all kinds of music from video game history, whether it's from like the Pokemon themes, Kingdom Hearts, all kinds of stuff. Original video game music is obviously the best. That's what I would prefer. And sometimes video games have licensed songs in their soundtracks, and it's just another plus, another additive, at the cost of whatever money it was to get a license like that, or all kinds of whatever. But what I will never understand is why some things are just not included in nominations 100%. I don't like the dating system of award shows where some things, if they come out in a period of time, they can only be selectable. I don't even understand what the Grammys system is. I think the Grammys 2026 is for this year, things that came out this year. I mean, that's weird. None of these things came out in 2026. That's what we're calling them. Now, the nominations for the Grammy music video game genre is insane, right? We have some heavy hitters. We have Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Avatar, whatever the video game was from Ubisoft. I don't care about the full title. And Star Wars Outlaws. Those are three massive video game adaptations of movies. And when I say of movies, I mean the series started as a movie, started as movies. I don't see in any way how these are inherently even in the category of best from video game. And just in regardless, I think it needs to be wholly original from original video games that are from video games originally. Something like Helldivers. Helldivers 2 is on there. Helldivers takes a lot of inspiration from things like obviously Star Wars, Starship Troopers, Alien. I mean, come on, all kinds of stuff. but at the very least is that it's a video game first, and then there's music there. It's not movie, video game, and then music. And then we have a really an indie game, and this is where I'm like 100% for games like this and Helldivers 2 just being on here and any other video game. All video games that came out between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2025. That's the year. That's how our calendar works. If they came out, that's just how it is, right? I just feel like that's just how we should make these award shows. Obviously, maybe have the award shows take place in the beginning of the year so we can see what kind of music and stuff comes out. But, I don't control the schedule for the academies or whatever. Overall, I think the nominations, right? Sort of the sea. I don't think we said it, but they have, at least their last song. It's from the album Sword of the Sea. That's a pretty good song. It at least had like some surprising moments within the song. I didn't feel like it was the same kind of flowy adventure type. It was very, very simple. I don't really like critiquing music, but I just feel like there's levels to music. There's music that's like there to fill a space. There's music that's there to like set a tone. There's music to make you like feel, and then there's music that's there to express the story of its own, like in the whole album, right? That's just a very, minuscule way of describing music and all, it's a very broad genre. But Indiana Jones, it all the songs are the same. There's no vibes in the entire album except for like some of the bonus tracks at the end. Boo. Boo. It has that adventure-ness to it, but it's not a good album. Avatar is boring. The music in that one, boring. Very much like the movies, very much like the movie scores. Nothing spectacular. Helldivers, it nails the sci-fi adventure vibe, the very like militaristic type, um, like anthem kind ofness. And then it's a short album. It's very short. I like that. For Indiana Jones, Avatar, and Helldivers, too long. Too long. Too very, very long. I don't like that. Star Wars Outlaws at least has K and Nix. That's a really good song. I like that. But it's a mixed bag, a mixed bag most of the time. Its vibes are just all over the place, which, for some people, that's probably a plus. It has a lot of themes, a lot of things to go on. Now, these are games that I have not played. Besides Helldivers 2, I have not played these. And I'm going to be real with you. I don't really want to play Indiana Jones or Avatar, and especially not Star Wars. I do not want to play those games in any fashion. So we're not here talking about the gameplay, whether the games are bad. We're here talking about the music. I listened to all those albums this morning. I did that, and I earned these little Skittles as a treat. So those albums sucked. They weren't good. They are not songs that I would go back to and be like banger, banger, banger. No. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is, for now, one of the greatest video game albums of all time. And I think that's, you know, heard just from everybody else. I think it's insane that it's not nominated. I think if a game came out with music within this year, it should be nominated. But the fact that it's not even on the list. And I never understand why we're not in a society where everybody puts in the vote. Why are we letting the Grammy committees, the Game Award committees, be the ones to decide what is the game of the year? Let the public decide that. I'm tired of that nonsense. So these award shows, I'm coming after them. If they're going to have things about video games, I want to talk about them. I give the Game Awards at least some pass because it's the official Game Awardy system, like IGN, all kinds of other places have them, right? So it doesn't matter. But at least we get like massive video game announcements during that time, unlike the Grammys, which I don't think people really put out music for at the Grammys. And then whatever the movie things do, we don't get movie trailers, the movie awards. I call trash. To me, the Game Awards is the best award show out there. It's far more entertaining. And these songs don't compare to Clair Obscur. I mean, the first three songs on the whole album are just great. Now, it's a massive album. I'm not somebody who even enjoys large vinyls of music, but the fact that that is a entire album with all kinds of different music on there. I mean, you have character themes, you have level themes, you have the overworld theme, you have songs from the main cutscenes, main intro, main ending. I don't think Clair Obscur Expedition 33 should be shafted this way. I think that's deplorable. Absolutely deplorable. Hopefully, they also get nominated for Best Music at the Game Awards. That's the best bet here. But the people that do the Grammys, I don't like them. They're just fucking, they're stupid. They're really dumb. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what music is. No, no. So for the Grammys, they're rigged. They're, ran by dumb people who don't know what they're doing. Because I never even heard anybody talk about the music that was in Indiana Jones, Avatar, or Star Wars, right? Like I've never heard anybody be like, "You gotta check out the songs for this. Listen to these." No one was talking about those. Sword of the Sea, right? I think it had great vibes for this indie type feeling game, and you know what? I'm glad it's on the list. If it does win, awesome. If Helldivers 2 wins, awesome, because at least they're relatively video games with video game origins, and I love that. They're video game albums from video games. That's all I could ask for. But from Star Wars and Avatar and Indiana Jones, no, I don't. I don't want that. I think that's fucking gross. Now, now let's see. Games. We've been playing a lot of Battlefield 6. We've been grinding as much as we can for Battlefield 6. It's been really, really nice. There has been a steady amount of earnings that you get, right? I haven't paid for any battle pass or anything, but most of the earnings you just get from using the guns, doing objectives, doing the dailies or whatever. Good. It's nice. Definitely a game I want to come back to and play again and again. But for the future, we are going to have to look forward to Kirby Air Riders. I think they have a beta demo thing coming up soon, which is awesome. And then Marvel Cosmic Invasion. Those are probably like the two games that I'm more excited for coming out between now and the future. And then we got to do Metal Gear Solid. And that's going to be done before the year is over. We just don't know when the Volume 4 or the Volume 2 collection of Metal Gear 4 comes out. No announcement, no nothing. And if they do it, then awesome. I'm more gung ho about that. But if they don't, I'm going to have to pirate it. I want to pirate it by the end of the year. Ooh, that'd be bad. That'd be bad. Because then I just won't buy the next one. Because I'm not going to buy it just for like 2 games. I'll just buy it like $10 on sale. That'd be nice. Now we have, enough talk about video games for the rest of the episode. We have always liked reading. The idea of these stories being told in all kinds of different mediums, not just books, right? But like manga. I think you can tell by the thumbnail. We read a lot of manga here. Now, before we get into manga, we're also reading Garden of the Moon by Steven Erickson. This is a book that's been recommended to me forever. This is a book that has been something that I wanted to read. It's a massive series and it seemed interesting. But, we just haven't been really feeling a book lately, right? Like a massive novel manga. Manga is something that we try to keep up with weekly, relatively. If it's not One Piece or Dragon Ball, it's whatever comes out. Now, we were trying to keep up with this particular manga for as long as we could. The writer, I think, is Ari Yonemoto. I believe they were sick for a good bit earlier in the year, and the manga that they were penning, Wild Strawberry, was on hiatus, and we kind of just let it lapse. And other mangas like Dan the Dan, Chainsaw Man, we usually wait a bit and then we'll catch up. And we did catch up. We caught up on Wild Strawberry, which to me, I am so surprised to see it end. I am so incredibly surprised to see Wild Strawberry end. I I thought it had at least like 150 chapters of some material to give us, but it goes to the end really fast, which, you know, maybe that's just a good pacing issue, a bad pacing issue, but I thought there was a little more to the world that they could have fleshed out, a little more we could have seen. Now, this was a manga that we discovered on the podcast, one that we started from the beginning here on the podcast very early on, and we, thought we'd have a long time to experience it. But now that we know the end, at least for what we can see is the end, it's over. And it was a good ending, right? I can't say that it was, not exciting or awesome to watch because it was so cool. It was so awesome. But when I was originally starting it, I was like, "Oh, oh, this is one of those. This is one of the ones that could be like fucking insane." I wouldn't be surprised if this was just a movie, you know? I could see it be told in a quick fashion. It's just a movie. And, the anime movie trend is really, really popular now. Pretty good for them. But I'm surprised. This is one that I immediately saw with the art and the story, its world. I was like all in. And to see it end in the way that it does, and it's not that it doesn't end in a bad way. The entire ride, 100% is great. It was just surprising to see it end so soon, because a lot of these stories, a lot of these mangas, they go on for at least like 200 plus chapters, right? The long shonen jumpy action animes, they go on for a long time. And I understand that like mangas, One Piece, maybe like Naruto, the really long ones, they're a big turn off to people, right? I don't know, man. That's something about manga that I don't ever want to change. I don't ever want the stories to be limited by just lack of interest or, whatever would be limiting to how much of a story writers are allowed to tell. I don't want that in my world. I don't want that at all. So yeah, it's just insane. I can't recommend Wild Strawberry enough. That is one of the coolest mangas I've had the pleasure of reading, like, ever in my life. I am ecstatic to be able to experience an anime adaptation in some way because I want to see it all in motion. I know there's panels in my brain right now that I want to see like animated, like the alien looking armor creature or the flowers coming out of the characters' eyes or the town overgrown with all kinds of fauna and shit. I thought there was so much more to this manga. I thought this manga had like maybe like Attack on Titan type depth to it. And that was a relatively short one, right? Maybe like 300, just short of 200, I think. Yeah, insane. So we are also all caught up on Dan the Dan. Dan the Dan is insane. Something that I never would have expected is this to be so exciting moment by moment. Like it is absolutely surprising. Now, I don't really want to go too much into spoilers for this one because we're going to be actually probably doing season two, watching that. So I'm going to be talk a little more just on that because I see a lot of animation stuff for some animes. People be talking about that, but yeah, it's Dan the Dan is one of the ones where it's like I definitely can't tell how long this one's going to go on for. It can go on for forever, right? And seeing that's at 216 already, and not a whole lot of it seems like it's coming to wrap up. I wasn't expecting to see Wild Strawberry end this soon. Like I just wasn't. It was a big surprise. It just kind of came out of nowhere. So maybe it's something like they just wanted to end. Maybe they didn't foresee it. But if it's their natural way of ending it, that's awesome. Dan the Dan Sick, Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo. I wasn't a big fan of the first season series early on. Now, I thought that it kind of could have been a little better in the expanding world department, right? But now the sequel, we're getting into some spicy stuff. Old characters coming back. The alien tension is coming to a head. I like it. I really enjoy it. I think it's really dope. I think it's better than the demon whatevers. This is cool. I'm really digging Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo right now. And then we got Chainsaw Man. He is now Denji is now still having to decide whether or not he has to pick war or death. And yeah, I don't know where the story's going. It just doesn't seem to have uh, a solid direction for the most part. I'm not necessarily sure. Chainsaw Man has just kind of been, wishy washy with me for now. There is one more manga that we want to talk about here, and this one I can definitely see being more of the wild strawberry type because I just expected it to be from while I was reading it, and you can see there's not much more that could be expanded on, and that's Dear Anemone. Now, Dear Anemone, I think anemone is like something like a plant or whatever. This manga takes place in a world where there was some event in our world where they were testing and doing scientific experiments in the Galapagos Islands. And after some kind of event, we follow people there to explore the aftermath. That's the overall, explanation that I can give for Dear Anemone, but I've only read up to chapter 17. That's all that's out there. And it's cool. It's cool. It definitely got like that short anime show type vibe. Like I could see it being one season, like that 24 episode type season vibe, or that like two season 24 12 12 type vibe. You know, the kind of stuff that's like really short and sweet. It's not like a Shonen Jump action story that can go on for a while because of fight scenes and stuff. This is just like a action horror sci-fi stuff, which is cool. Really, really dope. A little psychological horror in some ways. Big plant themed, big monster themed. That's why I want to talk about with Wild Strawberry because they're cool plant stuff. I like them. They're really dope animes, really dope mangas. I want to be able to see them in some way in animated form, and that's why I'm talking about them as we read them. Now we're gonna try and keep up with obviously Dear Anemone, Jujutsu Kaisen, Modulo, Chainsaw Man, and Dan as they come out. Like, those are the ones that we try to keep up with when they do, but they are not like One Piece. They're not like Dragon Ball. I think that there's, in terms of the legacy that we kind of have now for certain mangas, the long standing ones, because I think Dragon Ball at the least stands that same pedigree or dynamic or whatever as like larger series, like maybe like Marvel or something like that. Not because of like its scope or whatever, but the way that they're able to have stories that are intermittent in its storytelling. Like I'm gonna say it, Dragon Ball Super, it's just a continuation of Z, but in my mind, GT still canon, so we're just kind of making additives to stuff, and they don't even have the original writer doing it. So like to me, it doesn't necessarily have to do with just creating stuff for the sake of creating stuff, but at least it's new stuff that's exciting in series that are long standing. And unfortunately, some things like Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, Dan the Dan, they're short form, in the grand scheme of things. I don't ever expect a Dan the Dan sequel, but Fooly Cooly got a sequel. That's insane, right? We got to do that at some point. Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo is technically a sequel. Yeah, it's just insane to see that some of these mangas and animes, the length of them is so different. But nothing will ever be something like One Piece. One Piece is probably, besides Dragon Ball, things that are still ongoing, like Boruto. People fucking hate Boruto, but One Piece, Dragon Ball, they're so beloved. People just actually want more. And now I would be so surprised if One Piece got like a sequel, anything that wasn't like OVAs when it ever deletes. But the run of 1165 chapters is incredible. Some other mangas are that long, right? I think Case Closed is probably just now after 1000. That is something that we have to be on soon. But newest One Piece came out. This is a manga that we are on religiously every week. We try to be, at least. It's one that I really don't want to miss. It's beloved to me. I love it. And we are now seeing what is probably the very beginnings of the Revolutionary War. This is what I wanted. Like, we've been hearing shit about the Revolutionary War since like the early 2000s. 20 years. 20 years. It's insane. So for One Piece 1165, right? They have the anime on hiatus, so you have time to catch up. I think catching up on these is the best experience that you can have. Reading it as it comes out, being able to read as much of it as possible, experience the story as much as possible while you're alive, right? Because, you know, when I didn't know Wild Strawberry was coming out, right? I wasn't following up on it. I just didn't know. I thought I was on different hiatus. And then, maybe one day I won't be here. That's crazy. And I wouldn't be able to experience Wild Strawberry or the end of Dan to Dan, Jujutsu Kaisen, Dear Enemy, or Chainsaw Man, or One Piece. So to me, it's that FOMO kind of feeling that makes me want to read them. That is really exciting. So it's just cool talking about them week by week here in the podcast. We try to do books and video games and talk about whatever. And now we're going to bits about the Grammys, which is insane. Now, next week, we'll probably be also talking about Predator Badlands, which I'm excited for. It's going to be insane. Predator is something that I think is in a very good spot, just like Alien. They're on a very good come up lately. At least their newest productions are beloved, not like some of their early 2010 stuff. Insane, insane. Now, that's probably about it for the podcast. We'll be back here on Monday next week talking about if and any video game announcements, which we can definitely get through because I went on a little bit of a rant, but we have a little bit of news articles we could talk about. Just do a lightning round of those, right? We try to keep within 30 minutes or an hour in between all these, but we have time constraints with recording, so we can just really quickly go through. We talked about music, but there is a metal singer for the band. Well, her name is, I had it somewhere. Those are the Grammys. See, now I'm just going through. It is Ignacia Fernandad. She's a beauty pageant contestee. I don't know if she won or not, but she hums a metal band. Try to find the name of the band so I don't just not shout her out because she's cool. I didn't hear about her before, and now she's awesome. She played one of her songs. Okay, the article doesn't mention the band, which is insane. Okay, Decassus, Decessus. That is the band. She's been a singer. Very awesome. We talked about music for a good portion of the podcast. We had to shout her out before we completely forget. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is the fourth best-selling video game of all time. Now, I'm not saying that maybe something like Red Dead Redemption 2 doesn't deserve it, but I am going to say that there are a lot of games that are on my all-time favorite list, and Red Dead isn't them. But for that kind of experience, it is so good to see a game like that be up there. The kind of cowboy simulator game, which is really cool. Now, obviously, that's a single player game. It's not like fully Cowboy Simulator 2025, but you kind of get the feel of that, you know, cowboy gangster, the GTA feel, right? We did have a thing here for the best selling games of all time versus like Minecraft, then GTA 5, then Wii Sports, and then now Red Dead Redemption 2, which is awesome. Rockstar Games is helming the top two games along with Nintendo. Nintendo has the fifth spot, and obviously Wii Sports, and then I guess Xbox Mojang has Minecraft, which is insane. There's talk of the GTA 6 being delayed. It was delayed, but there's talk about union and all kinds of stuff. But I think we know Rockstar is very good with their management and their employees. Texas is suing Roblox, the Roblox developers. I think this makes it the third state that is suing them, which is insane. And there's the Square Enix layoffs. Poor Square Enix. They're feeling it. I mean, that's insane. Thinking that they're still laying off people after they just put out these Final Fantasy games. Whoo! Upsetting. PlayStation 5 will be adding cross-buy. I think cross-buy is pretty cool. I would like it if it included a way for your previous purchases to also be included. So that way, they're probably going to have their own launcher or just work it out with Steam or something else, but hopefully their own launcher. And I would love it if old purchases from, I guess, like the PS4 and on were just transferable and I didn't have to worry about it. And the upgrade was free. I have to pay $10 like you see now with like all kinds of companies. I hate that stuff, but cross buy on PS5 and PC or maybe Xbox or other consoles, I would love that. That would be really cool. There are small details that are out about the canceled Dante's Purgatorio. This was a canceled sequel to Dante's Inferno, a game very much inspired by God of War and the Divine Chronicles, whatever they're called, the Divine Comedy. Now that's something that I want to make a video on. We want to do something with the whole RPG, but I haven't gotten back to the people who make the RPG, and I just want to be able to finish the game first at some point. But apparently, there's a whole bunch of stuff like a art book and all kinds of 200-page to 240-page script written by the Assassin's Creed 2 writer, which is cool, right? But canceled game is a canceled game. Big sad. And there's talk of Japanese companies not liking Sora and their AI, which is crazy. There was 2 trailers though that I wanted to talk about for games. Canyons looks insane. Where you play as like World War type soldiers in like a desert, and you fight like evil fauna and plants or something. But it looks insane with like these Sandman hands coming down and stuff. It just looks fun. And then there's Ad Mortem, which is like a multiplayer co-op uh team survival medieval game. You play as like medieval knights or mages or whatever and just hack away at each other like chivalry. It has very much chivalry style gameplay. And they had a Kickstarter. It already is already funded, which is awesome. So shout out to Ad Mortem. You know, it's great seeing all these games. It's great being able to play them, reading all these mangas, right? As we end, as we get to the end of the year, 2025, with the Game Awards right around the corner, where we're going to see a lot of things. Most notably, probably GTA 6. I'd imagine this is probably the gameplay reveal for GTA 6 this year. It's moments like this that make me really excited because it makes another day just worthy of it, you know? Being able to breathe fresh air, go outside, swim in the water, eat ice cream, play video games, read manga. Some things I don't want to take for granted. I want to enjoy them and I want to experience them with you on the podcast. Those are what I find really fun. And that's basically about it. Peace.